listening to this as a replay, close all other browser windows. That's going to help you have the best quality. Check your device. Make sure that the volume's not muted and it's turned all the way up. Guess that's going to be hard anyways if you can't hear me anyways. Know that there's sometimes a little bit of a lag. So if you can't hear us at first or you're asking a question and we're not answering it, there could be that lag. When in doubt, hit refresh. And we're going to do the best we can. Don't worry. Stay calm, cool, and collected because in 24 hours, you will get a link that will be emailed to you with the replay link, and you will have 7 days to enjoy this live summit. It is currently May 16th. It's a Thursday, 2019, and we are really excited to get started with this. I'm going to shut off my webcam because I want to make sure you have the full screen of content and you're not going to miss anything here. But as I said, you'll see me jump back on in the end. So hello. With nutraMetrix Custom Health Solutions, we have been doing these quarterly online summits for health professionals. And this is the first time ever that we have opened this up to everybody. It is really exciting for us because we're going to have 1,500 people who are going to watch this online summit. Whether you are here live with us or you are watching this as a replay, I'm going to pop a little poll in here. So if you don't mind answering our poll question and let us know who you are and joining us today. If you are one of our account holders as a nutraMetrix health professional, or if you work alongside those offices as a consultant, maybe you are a patient of a nutraMetrix health professional, as we did put this out in our social media channels and spread this far and wide. Or are you a guest? Well, we have a lot more guests, about 20% right now, but we'll jump back in here onto the poll again, whether you're live or here on the replay. That just really helps us be able to continue to customize the content moving forward and figure out if we should do more of these that we are open here. So, we know that every single day you have so many choices. So let me first applaud you for showing up to this. Again, whether you're live or on the replay, because you have choices when it comes to your time. We have choices also when it comes to your body. All right, we make a choice. Most people at least 3 times a day when it comes to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and what you're actually putting into your body, putting food into your face. You make choice when it comes to your movement, what activities you do. You even make choice with the people that fill your cup, your social interactions, right? I mean, that's just good advice that you probably got from your mom to really choose wisely as to who you spend time with. And all of these choices are going to have, we're hoping that you're making ones that are having a positive impact on your health. So I don't know if you're like me and, you're feeling like, I have a family history. I have a family history of high cholesterol. I have a family history of heart disease. Obesity, it's something that just runs in my family. You'll hear from one of my good friends and our nutraMetrix clinical director, Dr. Deedra Mason, and she always says, it's not that these things are running in your family. It's that no one's running in your family, right? It goes back to choices people make. Because, things that run in family are family activities like family walks, family recipes. Recipes run in the family. And so, we're here to have that conversation because, if you're anything like me and you're thinking, I don't know what I should do to lose weight. I don't know what I should do to sleep better. I am worried that I'm wasting money on the supplements that I am taking. I heard that there's some things out there and they sound like they're really hot in the marketplace. I saw it on daytime television. Am I missing anything? Do I need it? Am I taking too much? You're also wondering, are you someone that should sign up for the new CrossFit gym that your neighbor's going to? Or do you really need to do more yoga? Should you be doing something like running, joining a running club? And how are you personally responding to activity? Are you unsure if you're someone that needs more sleep? Doesn't it seem like there's just some people that they can run on less sleep? Is that you? Or are you someone that needs to incorporate meditation? What's more important? We all have the same amount of hours in a day, 24 hours. So we have to really decide how we're spending our time. And are you motivated? They did a study when it came to nutrigenomic testing, and they found that people who had a lifestyle plan based on their genetics were 2 times as likely to adhere to that lifestyle plan. But you have to have a little bit of motivation, right, to change your lifestyle and to mitigate that risk for disease. And in a minute, I'm going to show you what my motivation is for showing up with you guys here today. But what are you going to learn is, what the heck is nutrigenomic testing? Now, maybe you saw a picture on Facebook, maybe someone said, hey, I think you'll really like this content, but, what is it and how does it work? Today, we're going to talk about nutraMetrix's Gene SNP DNA Analysis and why it's a great test, and what your provider, if you came here because a provider did invite you, or you do know one of our nutraMetrix health providers, how could a provider really help you with your health and lifestyle? But what if you aren't connected to a nutraMetrix health professional? Don't worry, we've got you covered. So this is what you're going to learn for hanging out with us today. But I just want to make sure we have the right people that are either here on live or here with the replay, because if you're someone who really loves the yo-yo diet, this is not for you. And you're in the wrong place if you have a lifetime membership to your 1990 step aerobics class and you're not willing to hear anything different about different forms of movement and what you should be doing. If you believe that you can burn the candle at both ends and that sleep is not going to have an impact on your genetic potential, again, you're in the wrong place. And if you think that, these chronic diseases that you're saying are running in your family is, a sentence that you were born to, a life of chronic disease, this is not for you. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And make sure that you know to stay on to the end, because we're going to get some bonuses. The first bonus is we are going to show you what actions to take for your genes with or without the Gene SNP test, which I think is really exciting. And this is something for the first time, that we're able to tell you about. So again, go ahead and answer our poll. Let us know who you are. So we're able to customize, future content and even some follow-up content right for you. So we know if you do have access to a Gene SNP test, if you don't have access to a Gene SNP test, and how we might be able to help you with or without the test. And the other thing, you're not going to know what these bonuses are, but there's really 2 things that we believe, 2 action items that both Dr. Deedra Mason and Brandi Murphy are going to go over with you, that you need in your home today that are going to have a huge impact on your genetic potential. But first of all, let me just come here and meet you guys one more time again, because a lot of people just joined us. My name is Sarah Tugender. I am the Director of Sales with nutraMetrix. I have been with the parent company Market America since 2006. My background, I was on the other side of things in pharmaceutical sales and sales management. I'm happy to be on a more preventative side today with nutraMetrix. I've been a certified nutraMetrix consultant as well as a certified TLS coach. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about TLS today. And I work my business, but I have to tell you a little bit about my priorities that you'll see in a minute, which is my husband, Dan, and my 2 kids that I absolutely adore, Ella and Brody. One of the reasons, though, why I really love to work with nutraMetrix and work here on the corporate side is I just love social media marketing. And I want to know, too, if you did jump on this webinar because of a Facebook post or because of an email, because that's what I think is great about this kind of platform. It's an educational platform where we can connect patients, practitioners, communities together, through the internet, which I think is where a lot of people are hanging out here today. So again, I'm going to make sure that you guys can see all the slides. So I'm going to pop back off. But why do I love Gene SNP the most? Well, throughout my life, my adult life, I went from I showed you a picture here in 2010, a time where I didn't have a plan. I had a lot of makeup on in that photo, I can tell you. I felt really, just puffy and bloated. I didn't feel great. I remember taking this and feeling like such an imposter, feeling like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm going to wear that I'm going to look great in. I don't know why I'm not feeling that awesome. Why is my skin going through, some crazy times? And then in 2014, as a new mom to little baby Ella in that photo, and I was stressed out. At that time too, I again didn't know what to eat as a busy mom. I really felt like I was underweight. My hair was falling out. You see me in that picture, I have a lot of hair. Those are all hair extensions. So that wasn't my real hair in 2014. And now today in 2019, I feel stronger than ever. I can't believe it. I feel when people tell me, oh my gosh, you have such great skin, Sarah, I don't feel like they're talking about me. I'm looking for the Sarah behind me. And I have a plan. That's the biggest thing. And I don't just have a plan for myself, but I have a plan for my whole family. And there we go. There's a bigger Ella and Brody. And the nice thing about the plan is that, when my husband and I had kids, of course, the kids are going to share our genes. That's the way that it works, right? You get half your genes from mom and half your genes from dad. But the interesting thing about genes is when you learn how to go ahead and turn off your genes, you're less likely to pass them on to offspring. And that, for me, I think was the most important thing, because I knew that I had such control. And, working with Gene SNP DNA Analysis way before Brody was even a thought in our minds, and knowing that the genes that Dan and I were both suppressing, that we're not going to live that story anymore of this runs in our family. The things that happen, that's just was not going to happen. And that to me is what my mission is to talk to as many providers as I can, to talk to as many providers, especially ones who work with young families, to be able to teach them about the basis of genetic potential. So we really can, turn that story around of our life sentence of chronic disease. And so, I went on and became obsessed with nutragenomics. I convinced Dr. Deedra Mason to go on a 5-state tour with nutragenomics all around the country. I did that in 2017. Brody was born April of 2017, and we started our tour at the end of May. We started in Hartford, Connecticut. We went on to Bismarck, North Dakota. I decided I needed to put in all these states and what they looked like, because I'm not even sure if you all know where Bismarck, North Dakota is. So you'll see that, right to the south of Canada, up there in the top right-hand corner of your screen. We went to Dallas, Texas. We went to Los Angeles, California, and we ended in, what most people say is one of the happiest places on earth, right? Orlando, Florida. And I think that we really learned more than we even taught. We learned exactly what practitioners were looking for with applications within clinical practice. And I think that was the most important thing, to see how we could connect nutragenomics, this giant field that everyone was talking about, connect that to our current healthcare system. And we met with, hundreds of practitioners all around the country and found some commonalities that we're working with them. And so when you fast forward today, it started with a couple success stories. I'll give you one of them. And this comes out of Bismarck, North Dakota, where we have a little hotbed of talent. And I think it's really the face of it is Valerie Myers and her clinic, the Kids Therapy Center in Bismarck, North Dakota. Valerie is a licensed professional clinical counselor. Her specialty is specifically with children in clinical mental health counseling. And the things that she saw, the transformation in her practice were with her families, was so remarkable that we really felt like, we needed to continue to talk to way more people. I mean, I think those interactions alone, and I recently just went back for my second time just last month to Bismarck, visited Val's brand new clinic and center that she just opened up. It's so gorgeous and so inspiring. And just in March, we had 600 people come together right outside of DC. And one of the big draws is what we're doing with nutrigenomics and nutraMetrix. And we really are, leading right here. We are one of the front runners in putting this into clinical practice. And the program is in such high demand, as a result of, the 1,500 people that raised their hand for today or the replay and saying, I want this information. I want to know how we can do it. And I promise you that if this is something that I can do and I can explain in my community, that you can too. And everything really changed the moment that I decided to keep it simple. And that's what we've done today. And that's what our mission has been with nutraMetrix, is to try to find a way to find commonalities to keep it simple. If I can explain it, you can too. I don't have a medical background. I might be able to pronounce more of the words. I have more practice based on what I've been doing. But, it comes down to having experience with the products, which is, why we are going to give you these really simple bonuses for today. The first one being, what actions can you take for your genes, whether you have access or you don't have access to the Gene SNP test? But, you need to know too that perfection is going to be your enemy. And you need to just find a way that you can have just one small baby step today. And that's what you're going to need to do. So we're going to help you and give you 2 things, that you should have in your home that are going to make a huge impact on your genetic potential. Oh, I just saw that Val is live with us right now and said, thanks, Sarah. Val, I can't even thank you enough. So thank you. Thank you so much for the work that you've done and helping us. But let's start and get down to basics, okay? For you guys here that have been through a United States 4th grade classroom, we've got to take you back to the 4th grade to Mendelian genetics, Dr. Mendel and his pea pod experiment, right? And crossing the pea pods and understanding genes at, its most simplest form. And so what are we talking about with gene SNPs? We didn't make this word up. So SNPs, so let's just start with, these are segments of DNA, and they're going to encode for proteins or enzymes. And that's really the instructions. This is your body's blueprint to do what it needs to do. So our nucleotides are linking the 2 strands of our DNA. And these bases, there's only 4 bases, right? And that's the whole alphabet of our genetic code. We get half of it from mom and half of it from dad. And so the individual combinations is going to tell the body, how to do what it needs to do. And some of them are going to have, instructions for things like, go ahead and make this individual have blue eyes. Isn't it really interesting how, you do find that there are these patterns, right? So if you saw a child and this child had fiery red hair, you would expect that child to have, right, some, light eyes, whether blue or green eyes. And we find that there's some genes that kind of clump together. We're finding the same thing happens when we're talking about suboptimal metabolic activity, or the genes that are going to code for that. Now, there's some genes that it's either it's on or it's off. You either have the gene or you don't have the gene. There's no in between. But there's others that it's not really like that. It's not whether it's off or on. It's more like you either have the genetic potential that will turn up metabolic activity or turn up the potential for chronic health complaints, or turn down metabolic activity, or turn down chronic health complaints. And so that's what we're going to talk to you about. It's not always black and white. You either have it or you don't have it. And I remember when I first learned about nutrigenomics and learned about some of these genes, I was like, wait, are you telling me that there's certain genes that are saying I can never eat certain foods, or that this is always going to be the case for me? And that's not really true. We can change the potential. So changing just one of the bases can change the gene's instructions to the cell, and that's what's called the single nucleotide polymorphism. That's what SNP is going to stand for, SNP, single nucleotide polymorphism. You can't change this. So whatever genes you were born with are the genes that you are going to have for life, okay? A lot of people think that when we talk about gene therapy that we're actually changing these genes, and that's not the case. You can't go ahead and get a gene transplant or anything like that. This is done at the time of conception. So it really has to do with mom and dad's, preconception health and what genes they're activating and turning on, because that's really how evolution occurs, right? We no longer have hair all over our bodies, right? We decided in evolution we didn't need that anymore. And so that eventually, that's why we are not monkeys. And so, we can really change things. And we are seeing right now in the world that we're evolving. It's not looking so great for us, right? With obesity through the roof, with chronic diseases, running rampant in societies. But I can tell you, if we do change what we're doing, we're able to turn the corner there and really change future generations. Now, when we think about all the genes that we have, most of them, are identical. 99.9% of them is what makes us Homo sapiens. That's what makes us, not an elephant. We are not an ape. We are not a turtle. We are not any other animal. We are Homo sapiens, and that's the 99.9%. It's the 0.1% that's responsible for the 90% variation. Okay, right? So skin color, eye color, hair color, but it's even more than that. And there's a very small number of genes that research has found that have variety of functions that can have really a big impact on our health. And so no longer is this one size fits all. It just doesn't work like that anymore. This is all really recent science with the Human Genome Project, the 1,000 Gene Project. We're really finding that, for some people, caffeine is going to be contraindicated based on their genetics and based on their family history. There's going to be genes, right, in its most simplest form, right? Like there's genes that we can test for that show if you are lactose intolerant or you're not lactose intolerant. But then there's going to be other genes that are going to just show how they're able to affect your body and how you can go ahead and either maximize those or really try to turn those genes down so you have the best potential in your life for just the healthiest life and feeling really great. And what we like about the product that we put together with Gene SNP DNA Analysis is that it is a vast analysis. There's 48 genes and 61 variations. And these are genes that have some of the most sound science behind them. And we've worked with them for many years. And I really believe that knowledge is power. You're more likely to comply. And this is not, this is really that body of knowledge that people are calling now precision nutrition. And they're saying too that genetics load the gun, but it's really lifestyle that's pulling the trigger. This is what you can really help to use to prevent, mitigate, or remedy chronic disease if that's what you're looking for. And so there's lots of universal rules that you're going to learn about from Dr. Deedra Mason and Brandi Murphy. There's a lot of things that we know that are just things that are going to maximize genetic potential no matter what. When we really look at the lifestyle, you can have such a great impact on how your genes work. And so we're going to learn which nutrients are utilized, how they're used, how well you can detoxify. I mean, we live in such a toxic world. It's so crazy. I just heard a story the other day about someone I know and his son showed his dad a watermelon and said, "Dad, this watermelon is bad." And he was like, "Why is it bad?" And he said, "Well, look at all these black seeds that are in it." I mean, there are kids that have no idea that our food has been modified, right? I mean, there was never seedless watermelons when I was growing up. And, things are really different. And so we have to learn how, these key processes are working, not just within the human body, but within your own specific body. And we know this too, right? There's no way that celebrity Cameron Diaz, if you guys know who she is, and you can picture her and her body type, right? She would have never been able to get the body type that Hilary Swank did in $1 Million Baby and bulk up like that, right? That's just not, you think of Cameron Diaz and you think of, she probably can sit there and eat a whole pizza and whatever she wants, and it's probably going to, look the same. And she's probably, not going to go to CrossFit and win any sort of competitions. There's just people that that they have certain genes. And, one of the things that we get from people that do work with Gene SNP DNA analysis is they'll say, "I got the information back and I felt like I kind of already knew some of it." Well, I mean, there are these things that are just going to be, like I said, these universal principles or things that you're like, yeah, I kind of always knew that milk was going to upset my stomach, or I felt better when I ate a plant-based diet, or I didn't feel so great when I ate a plant-based diet. And, but there's other things. If you feel like, you've just been trying everything and can't find the perfect combination for you, again, Gene SNP DNA analysis is just another tool in the toolbox that a practitioner has to be able to, get the most precise information. What we like about this is that a lot of genes have a lot of overlap with what they do. And so when you combine the genes that we have at our disposal with this analysis, with other testing, when you combine it with a family history, when you combine it with what we call a phenotype of symptoms, the complaints, you can really start to put a whole picture together. And what makes this really different also is that it's just 48 genes and 61 variations. There aren't different panels. It's not a la carte. You just get what you get. And some practitioners, when they use this, they might specialize in just a certain set of the genes, or other practitioners who say, you know what, I'm going to sit down and read and counsel you on all 48 of the genes. So when we look at this, you can see these nice little icons, and this will go with both the practitioner guides and the patient guides, but nutrient metabolism. And this is what I started with, getting insight into what nutrient forms and combinations are really going to work well for you. So you don't feel as if you're wasting your money. You don't feel as if you're just on the, bandwagon of whatever nutrient or supplement is hot right now. How about cardiovascular health? And that's one of the biggest things that's affecting the United States right now. Heart health is so huge. And just knowing too what you can do and giving insight as to, is cardiovascular health a true concern for you and something you need to pay attention to? How about obesity? I mean, I use that example of, Cameron Diaz versus Hilary Swank, right? Different body types, which we know, what our body types look like. But it's really interesting. Myself, I've never been overweight, but I actually have a really high propensity to being obese. And I know that I could say that obesity runs in my family just like most people. And it makes me even stick to my diet and lifestyle even more so, knowing I have to work a little bit harder with diet, exercise, sleep habits to offset, the genetic hand of cards that I was dealt. I think fitness is one of the ones that everyone really wants to know. They want to go right into it and say, okay, was I built for running? Was I built for lifting? Was I built for yoga? You know, what's really going to be the best for me? And so fitness is always a really fun one. How about inflammation? You know, is it the foods that you're eating, or is it really that it's, you know, your organ systems that you need to prioritize to focus on your health when it comes to systemic inflammation? They say most chronic diseases are related to inflammation. Hormones are such a big health topic today, with so many books and podcasts and lectures and magazine articles all about hormonal health, and being able to, you know, not just, you know, live longer. I don't think that's what it's about, but I think it's about the life to your years, you know, and living a vibrant life as you age, and aging gracefully. Mental, emotional, this test and what we've been doing with nutraMetrix has attracted so many people who are in a clinical mental health setting because of the insights that they get about, you know, really rebalancing their well-being and, you know, different combinations of lifestyle techniques that are going to work well for the genotype. Something that's really different about what we do, because we are a practitioner-only analysis, that you have to be a licensed provider to be able to order a Gene SNP DNA analysis. That also allows us to not have an age limit on our test, so you can test children. And we do have some genes that we'll show too about childhood development, weight, performance, and we will highlight that as well in the patient guide and practitioner guides. A lot of people ask, so if this is something you're looking for, which genes are tested. I mean, you can absolutely take a screenshot of this, write down some notes, go back and listen to this replay again if you have this on while you're multitasking in the car, washing your dishes, whatever you're doing. But if for whatever reason you can't go back to this or you can't get this information down, just go to genesnp.com and we have all of this information listed there. So these are our genes that we test with Gene SNP DNA analysis. And, you know, what can our Gene SNP test really do for you? So it's not all bad. You're also going to learn about some protective variations you have, you know, things that you want to continue to enhance and work on. You know, you weren't just dealt a whole bad hand of cards. You have a couple aces in there. And so let's really maximize that. But when you pair this with lab work, when you pair this with a health history, with some other testing, you can really find, you know, an amazing plan that's just right for you, that your health professional can help you design this regimen. And that's the amazing part about it. And so let's just go over what makes Gene SNP DNA analysis a little bit different than other nutrigenomic tests. You know, we're not direct to consumer. So you're going to have to reach out to the person that invited you here, you know, to help and find a health professional who does have access to the test. A lot of people ask us, what is the cost for the test? And that's going to vary based on the health professional, what they're putting together. A lot of them will also put together an entire program around it. So, you know, some of them just do nutrigenomic testing and counseling. Others really find, as I'll show you, you know, what some of our other options are or what some other providers are doing. This is a cheek swab. Most other companies, or some of them, are doing a saliva test, which is really less reliable. We do recommend that you do this as a fasting cheek swab. So we recommend to our practitioners that they try to clump appointments together for collection of genetic material, that they do it maybe all on one day earlier in the week, have people come in first thing in the morning and swab, you know, each of your cheeks. We're going to have 2 swabs that come with the kit. And it's a really robust test with 48 genes and 61 SNPs. And a lot of the other things the other tests are showing just different panels. You have to purchase different panels to get the same comprehensive analysis that's provided with Gene SNP. You might just get a mitochondrial health panel or a gut health panel or an obesity panel. It's everything. It's diet, lifestyle, exercise, sleep, emotional, all those habits. Really comprehensive, where especially if you go direct to consumer, it's going to be a lot of raw data that you're not really going to understand. You're not going to understand, and it's going to be hard too to look at it and to say, geez, how do I know if this is actually activated within my body or not? How do I know then, what I should be doing for nutrition, for supplementation? Most other genetic analysis don't have, supplement line or a plan or, any sort of source to help with ongoing management. And that's where we're really different, with that ongoing weight and wellness plan that you can work with your practitioner. And so here's what it looks like. This is what the kit looks like that a provider will have. They order this directly from nutraMetrix when they have a health professional account with us. It's a simple cheek swab collection kit. You'll see we provide 2 swabs right there in sanitary packaging, 1 swab for each cheek. And then there's swab holders. You'll wait about 15 minutes till they dry before you put the cap onto it, put it into our shipping tube, and send it off to our lab that's in the United States. The very cool thing about this is that we don't sell any information, and there's no identifying information linked with your DNA. So your provider will have 4 stickers that all have the same ID number on it, and your provider is going to be the only one that knows that your name goes with that sticker. The lab doesn't know, nutraMetrix doesn't know. The only person that knows is your healthcare professional that ordered this kit for you. And that, I think, is really important. We're not keeping records. If your provider, for whatever reason, loses, the matching information, we can't help them. We don't know what number goes with what patient. And we don't share the data, Marcia. We're not selling this to anyone. We're not giving this to anyone. The lab that we work with feels really strongly about that as well. So that's really great. And then the provider, we educate them and do trainings on how to go ahead and read this report and put together a customized patient-friendly report with actionable steps towards better exercise, sleep, and dietary choices. So we'll give you just a little example right here, and this is one of our genes, the FAME2 gene, and we give all of our genes a nickname, both for the patients and providers. SNP is the endothelial gene. You can see little icons, and through the icons, and they go in order of ascending priority with that gene. So you can see we have here our obesity. Mostly this is connected to obesity. But next, it also has an impact on cardiovascular health and nutrient metabolism and even mental health. So you can see which areas of impact this gene has. And this is just based on a collection of really sound research that we've compiled and put together with the genes through the years that we've had it. So we also have a clinical overview for practitioners to really assess points of intervention, based on phenotype, so what they're showing up as, right? So if this right here, it's the FAME2 gene, and it's showing it has a big importance with obesity, you've got to kind of look at the patient. Does the patient have a high BMI or not? Or the genotypic arrangement. So Tina's asking, so there's no linking information between the patient's information and the ID number. So no, they're not keeping that on file. Everything is private with the lab. So there is no database of who it connected to what DNA analysis. There is no connection at the lab, no records of that. So that's there. Yeah, that's really important to me too, Tina. And I think a lot of people ask about privacy. It's one of our biggest questions that we get, and we're really proud of our partnership with the lab that we have. So you're really going to get this great personalized regimen for diet, exercise, sleep, supplementation. And you're going to hear from Dr. Mason about really the universal thing that comes to, optimizing your genes does come down to the food that you eat. And we say that you cannot out-supplement a poor diet. And so the turnaround time for the practitioner to take the sample, sends it off to the lab, for them to do the analysis, for it to get back to your practitioner, and the practitioner to put together a comprehensive report of findings. You know, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a few weeks. And we really encourage a lot of our providers in that time to start doing, you know, some immediate action steps that are universally going to help everyone, regardless of their genotype. And so the perfect pairing that we have is with TLS Select. TLS is our weight management program. It stands for Transitions Lifestyle System. And TLS Select is our health provider-led TLS system, which is really great. And so this is really great before, or if you don't have access to a test, or you're not sure if you really want to jump into Gene SNP DNA analysis quite yet, but you want to do something very simple. And what we really like is that there's all these resources where you can go ahead and take a weight loss profile and find out, you know, what your tendencies are, and then pick one of our plans that are really going to work for you. And it's so turnkey with meal plans and menus and recipes and education. And one of the reasons why this works for everyone is because low glycemic impact eating is the basis of all of the diet plans that come out with our Gene SNP DNA analysis tests. So, you know, you might find through doing Gene SNP that you should be on a lower saturated fat diet, or you would really benefit from a diet that looks more ketogenic, or a diet that looks more vegan. But the basis of this whole thing is making sure, first and foremost, that, you know, it's low glycemic impact. As I know plenty of people who think they're vegan, they're like, well, Oreos are vegan, right? So we need to understand, you know, that low glycemic, it doesn't have to be complicated. So I'm going to give you a really quick intro to this. You know, that you want to stay in a fat burning zone, which is ideal for weight loss, but it's also really ideal, you know, for optimal genetic potential. You want to stay in a fat burning zone all day long. So when you can eat foods that are low and medium glycemic impact, you're really going to stay there. And high glycemic impact foods, and there's some foods that you consider healthy, but you find out, wow, those really are high glycemic impact. I had no idea, you know, and that could be leading to you zapping your energy. And that's where you go to those extremes of, you know, highs and lows and crashes and cravings, and, you know, where you're in this continual cycle of yo-yo dieting. So when you really can first find a balanced diet of low and medium glycemic impact foods, you know, that's going to really get you back on track, and that's really going to help you optimize your genetic potential. Blood type, Orga is asking, is blood type tested and taken into consideration? And that's going to depend on the provider who is ordering this and working with you with Gene SNP DNA analysis, and if they have access to being able to order blood work or look at blood work. So that's up to the individual provider, which is also why, you know, the cost of Gene SNP DNA analysis varies provider to provider depending on the package that they put together. And Laurie's asking about life insurance and getting records from the provider. I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard about that. I've heard about some acts that have said, you know, legal acts that have said, no, they can't go in and find records for nutragenomic testing. So that's something that I know I've heard of. But, you know, the provider, you know, keeping your information and privacy safe. But this isn't one of those tests either that is showing, this isn't genetic testing that's showing whether you have the genes for certain diseases either. So it's not a diagnostic test in that way. And I know that there is some gene testing that is. This is different. This is nutragenomic testing, which is testing for genes that have an impact on foods that you're eating. This isn't genetic testing, where I know, you know, that you can do that. You can go ahead and get some, you know, genetic testing to see if you have the genes that show that you are more likely to have Parkinson's disease, for example, or Alzheimer's. So, and in 2009, it was signed into law. No records can be used against you for insurance purposes when it comes to genetic testing or nutragenomic testing. So, Here's an example too, just of how comprehensive our TLS Select program is and how simple it can be for providers. And I know firsthand, my father is a medical doctor. He's an obstetrician gynecologist, and he's busy. I mean, he believes in eating healthy and tells his patients all the time, listen, you got to just change the food that's on your plate. And that just goes back to the beginning. Like, we all have choices. We have to make different choices. But for him to have a resource from TLS Select where you can go ahead and find lists of foods that are low glycemic impact, putting together meal plans for his patients, going ahead right there with the sample meal plans. This is just one sample menu that TLS Select provides. We have all the recipes as well for these, so it's not just, go ahead and eat the green egg saute. You can see here, it shows you exactly how to go ahead and make it. And really, it's just so comprehensive and turnkey and simple for both providers and for patients, and is going to, really optimize your genetic potential. And so I just want to again ask you, why did you show up here today? Were you really frustrated, like I had been at one point, that, you're not getting the results from supplements? Are you here today because you're like, listen, I just need more answers because I'm tired. I don't have, the sex drive that I used to have. Or are you here because you heard a lot of buzz around how others are getting success from personalized nutrition, and you really want that success too? Are you here with us because you were just bored today and you wanted to hang out? No, absolutely not. You guys are smart, busy people. I know we have a lot of providers, so we do thank you for the time that you're spending here with us today. But, if you're here up until this point, we know that you believe that Gene SNP, the program in general, whether it's the analysis itself or the program and education we've put around it, that it really has some tools that you can use right now. And so we want you to be able to take action to get more than what you're currently getting. I think that is so important. And if that's what you believe, then Gene SNP DNA Analysis and our program really is for you. And I want to just identify and introduce you to my colleagues who are also going to be on today. So next up, in just a minute, you're going to hear from Dr. Deedra Mason. And I like to tell you a story about Dr. Mason. So Dr. Mason and I, in 2017, as I said, we went on this big tour across the country. I remember we landed in LA, and I had kind of a funny rash going on. Don't forget, I was just postpartum, a few months postpartum. And I called my dad, and my dad was like, oh, Sarah, you're probably just stressed out. I don't know. He said something like that to me, and maybe I didn't give him a great explanation as to what was going on. But I said the same thing to Dr. Mason. We were walking into dinner, and she said, Sarah, you have the shingles. I had the shingles when I landed in LA on our 5-city tour. We were in city number 4. And very interesting. I had the chickenpox, never had the shingles. We immediately walked across the street into a supermarket, and I remember it was one of my favorite stories with her, walking up and down the supplement aisle. And I got more of a nutrition education just going up and down a few supermarket aisles with her, saying, okay, here's what the protocol is. This is what you can eat the next 2 weeks. This is what you can't eat. This is what you have to take. This is what you shouldn't be taking. And because we didn't have access to everything with us, we were on the road. And it was really fun, looking through some supplement bottles, right there with Dr. Mason. I learned so much. We had even flipped some over that, we train and carry ourselves with nutraMetrix Health Solutions, and show me some of the differences between delivery systems and, why our lines are just so much better. She's just such a wealth of knowledge as a licensed naturopathic physician. She also is the clinical director of the NEI, the nutraMetrix Educational Institute. She's part of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. Gives me so much hope that, and again, that I can have life to my years, as I continue to age, which that's what we're all doing, right? All aging. And she's had, lifestyle medicine as a part of her practice since 2000. Look at all the comments. Everyone's saying, how fabulous and brilliant and a wealth of knowledge. But you're then going to be able to hear from Brandi Murphy, who's the Director of Sales for nutraMetrix Training and Sales, who is also, she's been with our parent company for over 16 years and has been on the corporate side of things since 2007. Brandi is such a big picture thinker. We're so lucky, and I'm really excited that she's going to explain to you, how you can work with Gene SNP, whether or not you use our DNA analysis or not, and just give you some really great foundational things and keep it simple. She has a background in psychobiology and education, and she's also a mom as well. Her kids are about the same age. Her kids are a little bit older. We're so lucky to have her because, again, being able to, as moms, optimize genetic potentials, not just for us, but also for the next generation, is what drives the both of us. And so, how do you continue to learn more? Watch us again. Check out the replay. We're all busy, and I know you're all coming in and out too. And know, though, that you can talk to people about having nutraMetrix come to you. We have a nutraMetrix 101, 201, and this is really going to help just in general, going ahead and putting personalized nutrition into practices in your community. So if you are a provider that's on here with us today, I'm going to check out our poll. If you guys haven't answered the poll today, we have about 26% of you are nutraMetrix health providers. That's really exciting. 50% of you are, like me, a consultant who's working directly with providers and putting this together. And that's what we do. It's usually a one-day event, 2-3 hour sessions. We also have some really great corporate trainings and events. And our next one is a dual event. So we have two-day courses going on simultaneously. One of them is a nutraMetrix consultant certification course. And we only do this 3 times a year. And I really love that we are a professional division, that all of our consultants do need to certify and then recertify in person every 2 years to maintain an active status with us. And so we have, in 2019, we have the end of June in Texas and then September on Long Island. At the same time, though, that we're doing our certification course in the Dallas area, we'll also be doing a 2-day health professional product and implementation course. So if you really want to know more about how to do that, we invite you to check that out. We only do that twice a year. And this is run by myself, Brandi Murphy, and Dr. Mason. And then we do have 2 guest lecturers that will be with us in the Dallas area. And one of them is Dr. Robert Zembrowski, who is he's so amazing. He is from Connecticut. He is a chiropractor and functional practitioner. Dr. Zembrowski has a show-stopping story and has written, I think it's a best-selling book called Rebuild. I just saw on Instagram, I think it was yesterday, that Dr. Zembrowski was hanging out with Jack Canfield. He was on a podcast from a guy that I listened to just recently. He has such a strong message because he's seen firsthand at his Darien Health Clinic what, potential can be about bouncing back from chronic disease. Maybe you're someone like Dr. Zembrowski, you'll have to hear his story, who had chronic disease, and now what is he doing afterwards to really help his body heal from that. And Dr. Ed Flores, who's a Texas native, is triple board certified. He has been a phenomenal resource and aspect of our nutraMetrix training faculty. He has really passionate lectures and also understands about rampant chronic disease that's going on in our communities and is so committed to turning that around. So I hope you guys are staying on. We want to just tell you too that this is a service that's available through nutraMetrix exclusively to health professionals with an account. So if you are a health provider who doesn't have a nutraMetrix account, you might want to talk to someone about having an account or send us an email at nutraMetrix@nutrametrix.com to talk to you about that. But talk to the person who invited you here, referred you here, the Facebook post, whatever it is, and they can help connect you also. We're unable on a corporate end to share information about our providers, and the cost is going to vary from practitioner to practitioner. But we really want to be able to give you, the actions, and this is at the end with Brandi Murphy, which actions you can take for your genes with or without the Gene SNP test. And we are going to have Dr. Deedra Mason and Brandi are both going to say, what two things, what's that baby step that you can take today that's going to go ahead and have the biggest impact on your genetic potential. And I have to tell you, it is just an absolute honor about unlocking your potential. And I do hope that we have our next speaker up here and ready. Dr. Mason?
Yes. Thank you so much for the question. And I
thank you.
Love that you told the story about us on our whirlwind tour of the United States together. We learned so much from each other. I just have one question for you. Is the shingles anything like the sugars, the diabetes? I love that you put the in front of it. It's awesome. But it was a lot of fun to do that, because one thing that Sarah didn't share with you is that in that story is that while we were turning over and looking at bioavailability factors and formulation factors, is that we also found that we were better priced than many of the products that we were seeing in the market there. And that was a pretty satisfying place to be, knowing the quality that goes into not just the education that you put together here, Sarah, but the quality that goes into our evidenced ingredients, our referenced ingredients. And so I want to say, applaud you for how good you are at bringing all of the moving parts of nutraMetrix together and making sure that the field doesn't just understand the impact of supplementation, but the impact of lifestyle. And I noticed here in the chat box that someone shared with us that Brandi Murphy is a true educator, and that's absolutely accurate. Truly manifests the idea of delivering sound information to our health professionals, our nutraMetrix consultants, and ultimately bringing these groups together and finding ways for us to seamlessly integrate what is an incredible program into the physician's practice. So I just want to say, everybody that's on the webinar today, you are in great company. Let's go ahead and take a look at nutrigenomics from the clinician's standpoint. Sarah had brought up some of the importance of how certain genes cluster together. She gave you the illustration of a child with flaming red hair, and what do we expect to see? We don't even need that child to turn around, and we feel like we know what we're going to see. And that we tend to see similar symptoms gather or cluster together. And that's what in nutrigenomics is referred to as a functional connection. Genes don't have to be genetically linked, they can be functionally linked. She mentioned that certain genes are just off, and we refer to these as deletions. And it's interesting because these insertion or deletion genes are the difference for that marathoner that has a cardiac event and the individual that is a smoker without any objective cardiovascular risk. Subjectively, every one of us would say that individual has a subjective risk for a coronary event or a cardiac event. But we find that genetically, due to an insertion or deletion, they are protected from that. And that's that's a very special place to be when we evaluate our genetic blueprint, or as Sarah referred to it as the hand that you were dealt. And she also brought up the idea of genes that can be turned up and turned down. And that's probably the most important concept for us to get here today, is that genes that are turned up and turned down are done so by the external stressors that we put on our genetic code. Your stress, your sleep, your fitness, your diet, including supplementation. So as I share that information with you and my colleagues here, the thing I'd like to share with you, if you are a practitioner with us or looking to partner with us, is that the goal of each physician should be to find help, because in the words of Dr. Still, anybody can find disease. So looking forward to where we're at with nutrigenomics today, in truth, we live very dissonant to our genes. We don't properly live to our genes. So what is it that took us from caveman DNA to cardiometabolic DNA? Why are we today, the man on the right, versus being the best, most robust version of ourselves? Well, it's because we do not eat according to our genes. We definitely do not sleep according to our genes. We do not exercise according to our genes. I feel bad for this guy in the back. I feel like he followed everyone into what he thought was going to be a yoga class. Now he's over here chug, 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 cardiovascular exercise, right? But the idea here is that, as Sarah was mentioning, not every one of us was built for cardiovascular, metabolic, or metabolic conditioning type training. Some people are individually, genetically built to lift up heavy things and put them back down again, while others, their gene dictates for mindfulness, exercise that is not, in fact, a high-intensity interval training, but more about yoga or full-body exercise in the forms of Tai Chi or some of the more meditative, physical, and spiritual aspects of fitness and well-being. And then the real killer to each and every one of us, and it manifests in very different ways. We today need to find a way not to control our stress, because the idea, that concept of control in the first place, only adds to our metabolic stressors. It only adds to that sense of unwellness, both mentally and physically. But we today need to find a way to better achieve a balance when it comes to stress, a non-modifiable risk factor for disease. Because when we don't manage stress, we are shortening our telomeres, meaning that we're not just shortening the quantity of our years, but the quality of our years. We see individuals that do not find ways to balance their stress response, do not just shorten their telomeres, they also expand their waistlines. They limit their sexual libido, their sexual endurance, or even their sexual appetite. We find that these individuals that cannot manage either sleep or stress find themselves with heightened levels of inflammation. And in a genetic environment standpoint, this is the true killer. Oxidative stress leads to chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation leads to hormonal mayhem. And how you respond and where we should apply better pressure with food, diet, sleep, and exercise all come down to your genetic blueprint. And that is how I answer the question, what is your individual risk? How do we identify your unique need, blend, or program to help you achieve your best genetic potential? Through nutrigenomics, we're able to identify your individual gene variations, their impact on their cellular environment, and the way genes communicate with each other. And that will give you the information that you need to learn more about your own cellular performance and risk factors for a healthy, for a problematic aging, or a better aging. When we think about where the literature has taken us, it has exploded in the last 20 years. We have seen so much come out to help the practitioner and the patients alike identify their targets and how to redefine their well-being and design a life for themselves built around their genetic potential. Specifically, evidence has blown up in the microbiome and microDNA. Today, we know more about mitochondrial health, transcription factors through RNA, as well as biogenesis and what it takes to build more mitochondria in each and every one of our cells. I referred to the stressors that we apply to our genetic code, and we refer to this often as epigenetics, the environment that is created by the foods you are getting or you're not getting, the sleep that you are getting or you're not getting, the exercise that you get or you don't get, and definitely that applied stressor. Now, the interesting thing about epigenetics is that it's not an acute environment that we're talking about. It is the progression or the series of years that our cells have been exposed to this. And there's evidence of this type of genomic quality being passed down from parent to offspring. And it's why it's important for us not just to think about our well-being today with nutrigenomic analysis, but the well-being of our families and our communities by influencing our genetic performance, specifically in that direction where fitness, which can manage and support healthy hormone levels, stressors, which are major disruptors of hormones, which are the powerful instigators or signalers of poor genetic environment. That then comes down to looking at factors of food and diet and sleep. It is the combination of these things together that will create the best genetic environment and epigenetic transference when we think about well-being of our offspring. Now, I mentioned something earlier that Sarah had brought up about genetic polymorphisms, connections to one another. There are certain genes that cluster together because they are genetically connected. Think about factors in detoxification pathways or in energy pathways, where one step leads to another with the benefits of an enzyme. And then there are certain polymorphisms that we're going to discuss today that are connected functionally to one another. When something leads to an end product of metabolism or an arrested end product of metabolism, another gene would otherwise pick up within an energy pathway, and it either will or will not, based on the quality of the genetic product that you make, based on, quick quiz, your sleep, your exercise, your stressors, and your diet, including supplementation. So when we ask ourselves what is truly important, in particular when it comes to concerns that we have with healthy aging, the decline of hormones and therefore their signaling that can protect genetic potential. When we think about factors of our environment that are added stressors on our gene blueprint, pollution, light pollution, not just air pollution, water pollution, or new to nature molecules that are found in your food, the answers come down to what truly manifests as health. Is it the hand that you were dealt, or is it how well you can get the hand that you were dealt to perform? Now, I bring this up for an important point. Many practitioners, as well as patients, will see a genome or they will see their genetic blueprint and say, I guess there's nothing I can do. I guess I have the fat gene. I guess I have the snacking gene. I guess I have the poor cholesterol gene. But what I want you guys to know with what is really important is actually the stressors that you put on that genetic blueprint by eating healthfully, by supplementing to your genetic code, by sleeping according to nature. And that means paying attention to daylight hours. And this is also true for exercise. What we do during the daylight hours and the regular program that we give ourselves for our sleep hygiene or our sleep hours is hugely impactful in as little as 3 months. Studies show to change the way genes are behaving. So when we talk about turning genes that are behaving poorly down, it comes to those 4 factors of well-being. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about one of those major longevity factors, which is your mitochondrial genes. Now, nutragenomic analysis looks at the human genome. So we're not looking at that micro DNA of the gut biome, and we're not looking at that messenger RNA or DNA of the mitochondria, but we do have an insight into how mitochondria can be regenerated, or we can not accelerate, but we can expand biogenesis of mitochondria, and therefore cardiovascular well-being, mental aging and cognitive function well-being, exercise performance and muscular well-being, and of course supporting endocrine and neuroendocrine well-being. Mitochondrial gene expression has evolved based on the stressors that we apply to it: sleep, stress, exercise, and in this case, a very specialized diet of fatty acids. There are certain genes that don't give us access to the best mitochondrial environment or the best mitochondrial foundation or terrain. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today. Mitochondria are best fed by select antioxidants, coenzyme Q10 being a very one that many of us are familiar with, but other polyphenols like those in the skins of red wine grape are fantastic repeaters of the mitochondria. When we look at fatty acids, that's really the preferential fuel of your mitochondria. And in fact, fatty acids, because of mitochondria, have the ability to be used for energy, both physical and mental, or to be stored as a problematic fat. And that has everything to do with your mitochondria. Amino acids are great for repair and recovery, in particular in the world that we live in today. And then B vitamins, iron, manganese, zinc. These are all great for nutrient sensing and increased biogenesis of mitochondria. My point here is that too much stressor genetically or not enough of the building blocks for mitochondrial biogenesis ultimately will affect the body's performance, both mentally and physically. When we think about the neuroendocrine system, the stimuli that we are getting on a daily basis, we become more and more concerned about deficiencies that may arise, and our genetic blueprint gives us insight into where to start or what to prioritize. And that's why it's so special to be looking at a nutrigenomic program. One of the genes in particular that I think that you would find interesting is a gene called the SEC16B gene, the SEC16B gene, or the fatigue gene, the early to tap out gene, I've also referred to it. This gene is responsible for the cleavage of fatty acids for mitochondrial use, for energy production, to literally create the building blocks of acetyl-CoA that go into the Krebs cycle. So when we look back at biochemistry, the idea of creating ATP required pyruvate from carbohydrates, specifically glucose, and its burning in the body, or from fatty acids through a beta oxidation, with the help of a beta oxidation pathway to create acetyl-CoA that allows us to create not just better fuel for the body, but literally better fuel for the mitochondria. When this gene is behaving properly, it reduces the tendency of our bodies to store lipids or to store triglycerides. When we don't have a gene that is behaving optimally, we are unable to use fatty acids for energy. We minimize, or we actually have arrested mitochondrial biogenesis, and the individual will start to notice fatigue. Now, some of the areas in the body where this is of particular interest is in cardiac function, because this gene is intimately linked to the enzyme that controls for cholesterol in the body, the HMG-CoA's reductase enzyme. SEC16B, the fatigue gene, is intimately linked to cholesterol's utilization for energy or storage as a cardiometabolic risk factor. And so I also want to make mention to individuals that have the SEC16B fatigue gene, the problematic form of the gene, that they may see a greater level of fatigue when also using statin medications or certain botanicals that can slow down the HMG-CoA's reductase enzyme. So for that reason, I want us to also think about how we can make good clinical decisions based on our genetic blueprint. The keynote that I want you to remember about the SEC16B gene is it gives the body limited access to lipids, specifically fatty acids. We use these for energy fuel in our muscle, in cardiac muscle, in systems or organs that have a lot of energy demands on them. So now think of lung tissue and liver tissue, and don't let brain tissue get away from you. When we think about central nervous system tissue recovery and repair, a functioning SEC16B gene, or managing the influence of that SEC16B gene with proper nutrients, proper sleep, and exercise tailored to you is the best way to manage a gene that would otherwise lead to moving fats into storage, glucose into storage as a free fatty acid and triglyceride, and increase your level of fatigue. Now, I ask, is there another genetic link to this fatigue? Well, the FTO609 gene and the 980 gene, these are two of the three FTO genes that are in the nutragenomic analysis, Gene SNP DNA analysis. These are, again, a functional link to the SEC16B that I just mentioned. This is one that allows us to take energy, in this case from carbohydrates, and move it through the Krebs cycle or the citric acid cycle to create more energy. Just like the SEC16 gene was responsible for energy production from fatty acids, the FTO gene is responsible for what is called alpha-ketoglutarate activity. And there's an enzyme that is not functioning properly in individuals with the FTO or the fat mass gene, and it is the alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase gene. This is simply an enzyme that limits our production of energy from primary fuels, be that a carbohydrate or a fat. Now, why I think this is important is because it's a fat mass gene, and many individuals that are looking for more energy and to lose weight will often move to a ketogenic lifestyle to do it. They will eat a higher fat diet, a lower protein diet, and what would be considered a low carbohydrate diet to help manifest more energy, more brain function, and then ultimately weight loss, or to whittle their middle. But because this gene is related to poor fat cell nutrient sensing, that excess fat in a ketogenic diet, whether it is avocado fat, nut fat, or it is animal fat, saturated fat in that nature, this gene doesn't respond well to that from nutrient sensing. It stimulates nutrient storage. And so this is an important gene to pay attention to help individuals identify what would be the best kind of meal plan that they would want to follow. This gene is actually very well managed and supported by turmeric or curcuminoids, by omega-3 fatty acids to improve nutrient sensing, but also to help it function better with the SEC16 gene. We often refer to this gene as the never full gene. These individuals do not get satiety signals the way other individuals do. And that has a lot to do with the fat mass nutrient sensing that I had just mentioned. Because they're fat cells that are run or methylated with the help, or demethylated with the help of the FTO functioning enzyme, these individuals don't get that nutrient sensing of those abundance of calories or the abundance of fuel around them, and they end up going into more storage. One of the issues that particularly that the FTO gene or the never full gene has is it's not that it just doesn't get satiety or I'm full signals. It limits a major player in energy metabolism and in mitochondrial function called AMPK. Now, the interesting thing that I want you to know about AMPK is it is a repair enzyme in the body. We often see the pairing of two of these enzymes in the body, mTOR, which is a breakdown enzyme that we see a lot in growth factors, a lot in heightened metabolic response to building up and breaking down. But AMPK needs to come in there and protect the environment and help repair, cellular repair, DNA repair. And individuals that have the problematic form of the FTO gene don't do this as well, which means their mitochondrial energy may be limited. Their ability to burn fat due to low sensing of fat is limited, and we find that these individuals are prone to elevated serum glucose simply because they have poor glycemic control due to poor glucose nutrient sensing. All of these things lead to less energy, more stored fat or stored energy, and less potential for biogenesis of the mitochondria. We notice it most with the FTO gene in the liver. So individuals with concerns about non-alcoholic fatty liver syndrome may want to look at the FTO genes and identify this as a target for glycemic control, but also for select nutrients like the curcuminoids or the natural spice turmeric or omega-3 fatty acids to make sure that we get those types of foods and supplementation on board so that we are not in a position of locking fat in the cell, limiting our energy, right? Not leading to more storage and therefore more lipid oxidation, or in this case, it's called peroxidation, but actually getting access to those fuels for better energy. The last gene I want to talk to you about to kind of send that concept of gene interaction through gene functionality versus genetic linkage is the adipoQ56 gene. This is an adiponectin gene, and it's an important gene because when adiponectin levels are high, and mitochondrial biogenesis is also high. HDLs, your good cholesterol, are also high. Your risk factor for cardiovascular disease, specifically coronary artery disease, is lower. So this gene, when we look at it in Gene SNP DNA Analysis, dictates or modulates fat storage and sugar metabolism. So we want to have the optimal form of this gene to offset potentially a problematic form of the FTO gene. But because they are functionally linked to each other through cholesterol metabolism, utilization of fatty acids for energy, and then ultimately mitochondrial biogenesis, we want to know the hand that we were dealt. Do we have a series of 3 problematic genes that I've just laid out for you? Or are some of them going to be able to push back, again, be their own genetic stressor and push back against those problematic genes? So when we look at the gene here, the adiponectin gene that is behaving optimally, we do see reduced liver and muscle fat content that we may see become a problem with the FTO gene variants. We see an increase in HDL and a decrease in a unique risk factor for a cardiovascular event or elevated cholesterol called Lp(a). And the reason why I think it's important to bring this one up is that Lp(a) is not responsive to statin medication or some of the classic ways that we think about limiting elevated total cholesterol. It in fact is uniquely modulated by B vitamins, niacin being the most profoundly impactful in changing not just lipid buoyancy, size, not particle number, but buoyancy and particle size, but changing Lp(a) from a cardiovascular event. It's actually the GG form of the gene. This is the optimal form of the gene that leads to that better cellular repair through AMPK, and it can support healthy energy or mitochondrial biogenesis in both the liver and skeletal muscle, not just its benefits in cardiac tissue. The reason why it's able to do this is that it's able to take sugars and fats through both energy pathway, or through both gateways into energy pathways, and help the body utilize both glucose and fatty acids. Their energy combustion is improved with the adiponectin genes. And there are actually 2 adiponectin genes in the Gene SNP DNA analysis. One is problematic, the adipaq-56, and the other is what we would refer to as a gain gene or a protective gene. So it's possible to evaluate and prioritize someone's mitochondrial nutrient needs based on seeing a better picture of their Gene SNP DNA analysis. So what are our 5 targets? What are we looking at to support a healthy gene interaction using these 3 genes as an example? Well, we first want to overcome any methylation deficiencies if they are present. Now, that's a different topic that we've done on different summits. And I encourage you, especially if you're new to nutraMetrix, to always looking to stay plugged in and find the resources that we've made available. Sarah Tugender created an incredible accountability mastermind group for Gene SNP that allows us to log into office hours every Friday and ask questions. And I think that would be a great place for our healthcare practitioners to evaluate some of the previous summits or questions that they have on previous topics like methylation. Second step, control or eliminate inflammatory triggers. This starts with getting a good night's sleep. It then leads, or then means our next step is to pay attention to diet and think about what have we identified through a personal inventory? What are our unique risk factors, our inflammatory triggers? And then from there, start to think about what might be the right genetic program and the right meal plan for you to keep you on track. I'm very fond of saying the best weight management plan you can follow is the one that you're willing to follow. How about we wrap one around the results and benefits of your Gene SNP DNA analysis? What I've talked mostly about today is maximizing proper cellular energy, specifically utilization and of energy, but also biogenesis of mitochondria, so that we are better not consumers of energy, but that we are better agents of energy. To do that, we need to deliver necessary nutritional elements, and we need to make sure that if there is added support, in the chat box, some people were asking about blood type diet. Maybe someone may ask about food allergy testing, advanced lipid profile testing, or organic acid testing. With all of that data, Gene SNP DNA analysis gives you 48 new and unique and novel to you data points that you can collect all of that information together and make the right decision about what does the proper support look like for you. Now, I had mentioned that there's a hierarchy in how you're going to protect your body, how you're going to protect your nutrigenomic environment, and ultimately make sure that those genes function optimally together. Even if they're not genetically linked, they are linked through genetic gene expression or functionality of the gene. And so this is just a quick look at one of the literature reviews for the adipaq-56 gene, which is increases adhesion molecules. It increases immune cascade, specifically through an inflammatory end product of metabolism called NF-kappa beta and tumor necrosing factor alpha. As a result, it leads to increased risk for cardiovascular decline or disease. Well, this specifically looks at how we can mitigate or manage those end products of metabolism, even when they were coded for us in our genetic code, by making sure that we get a healthy night's sleep. This is another one that talks about quality of years, lengthening our telomeres, improving our telomeres, and cell signaling, nutrient sensing, and ultimately energy production or supporting proper energy pathways. And this is simply by making sure that individuals get regular and consistent, I guess those two things are the same, consistent exercise. That individuals that get regular or consistent exercise can initiate a better relationship with the telomerase enzyme so that we can maintain the quality of our chromosomes, our cells, but most importantly, the signals that our cells are sending out, because that's what your mitochondria are sensors for, right? Energy signals. And those energy signals come from nutrient pathways or having access to nutrient pathways, but also making sure that our cells are highly receptive to those nutrient sensors like glucose and fatty acids. So when it comes to mitochondrial restoration, your strategy for well-being includes coenzyme Q10, acetyl L-carnitine, arginine, specifically as a feeder of alpha-ketoglutarate, that enzyme that I talked about with the FTO fat mass genes, branch chain amino acids for the purpose of recovery, especially with the external stressors like lack of sleep or too much physical and mental stress on the body. Branch chain amino acids are hugely beneficial for mitochondrial restoration or replenishment. Then there are those factors that help with nutrient sensing and cleansing of cellular receptivity. And those are things like alpha lipoic acid, N-acetylcysteine, polyphenols like resveratrol, curcuminoids like found in the turmeric root. The whole root is what you're looking for there, because they're also going to be able to add in methyl groups or methyl support, detoxification support, when you're very selective about the forms and types of curcuminoids that you're using. And that's one of the hallmarks of what we do with not just our Gene SNP DNA analysis program, but also with the quality of formulations behind nutraMetrix custom health solutions, using clinically evidenced ingredients to support the practice, the patient, and ultimately the genetic blueprint. It's the activators, the things that we so easily overlook when we hear about these sexy new ingredients in the wellness industry. In the space of personalized nutrition, we hear about very specialized ingredients, and we sometimes overlook the hard workers like the minerals, zinc, iron, manganese. These are all activators of mitochondrial biogenesis and important players in how your genes behave, not just how your mitochondria behaves. And that's why we put together the issue is the tissue, Gene SNP Foundation Pro bundle. This is a look at many of those players to protect a healthy genetic environment, methylated B vitamins, so that we can take the genes that I referred to today to the next level, that we can help with the energy pathways, be it from glucose or from fatty acids for energy. B vitamins are the drivers behind our energy pathways. Magnesium to create not just healthy blood flow, but to create, like zinc and iron, the activation for cell receptivity, whether that's insulin sensitivity, leptin sensitivity, pathways when it comes to blood sugar metabolism, even a healthy gut barrier. Magnesium plays a role in all of those things. These repeaters or these replenishers of mitochondria, they can all be found in the Isotonic Essentials anti-aging product. We then pair the curcuminoids and the omega-3 fatty acids that are so important, whether we're looking at the Sex16 gene or the adipoQ56 gene, or of course that fat mass FTO gene. These are all players in supporting mitochondrial biogenesis, a healthy gene terrain or healthy gene environment, and will support, regardless of your genetic blueprint, will support a healthy gene environment so your genes can make sure that they're communicating at their very best self or towards your genetic potential. But I brought up something earlier that I think's probably the elephant in the room, which is the signals that we send ourselves every day, the signals that we're sending our DNA. Our number one patient concern as a patient is often fatigue and too much stress. Often as a clinician, our biggest concern is the diversity of ways people present with fatigue symptoms, depression or anxiety symptoms, issues with stress and not being able to find the right outlet for that. As practitioners, we struggle to help people find the right recipe for them. And that's why we created bundles through the genetic program the way we did, because we know that certain genes behave or cluster together. And so we put together, much like that Foundation Pro bundle, other adrenal support regimens, mitochondrial support regimens, so that even cardiovascular or hormonal balance regimens that Brandi Murphy will share with you. We put these together knowing that many practitioners are looking for a solution for their patients, whether it's concerns that they have with chronic stress leading to blood sugar dysregulation, excess weight, inches or centimeters around the middle, too much inflammation, whether that's due to not enough sleep, the wrong food choices, or that fat cells are just spitting angry and they're sending out the wrong signals when we are overly stressed and cannot manage that. As a result of that, we do start to see cognitive decline, whether that comes in the form of smaller brain volume, which is intimately linked to not enough omega-3 fatty acids, that is linked to not enough exercise, or to chronic stress that is never letting up. That can turn into depression, and it most definitely turns into sex hormone dysregulation, whether that manifests as low libido, not being able to mount a sexual response, lack of stamina or endurance. These are all factors that are intimately linked to chronic stress. And it's one of the reasons why we put the Revitalize bundle together. While the Foundation Pro is built to give you the best foundation, sometimes people are looking for something a little bit more targeted. And so we put products together that would still protect energy pathways, that mitochondrial biogenesis, but would give the practitioner and the patient alike a more targeted regimen for adrenal concerns, for chronic stress situations, and then to support healthy aging. And so this is why we put the Revitalize bundle together, a pairing of things like coenzyme Q10, branched chain amino acids, vitamin D, polyphenols, all together, so that we would be able to take the mitochondria and give them the restorative nature that they need when they're taking a beating. And so this is just a look at a study that specifically looked at when individuals are under chronic stress, that their amino acid, their essential amino acids, they'll liberate, we'll see a rise in their amino acids trying to protect, whether that is stopping the breakdown of tissue, the regulation of hormones, or just the balancing of some of these stress signals and therefore stress sensing. But after a series of days, and that's what I want you guys to hear. It's not a series of years, right? It's not even months. After a series of days of chronic, unrelenting stress, our ability to compensate significantly declines. And yet, the use of proteins, the use of select amino acids, specifically branch chain amino acids, are able to add back in or lead to muscular, cognitive, and cellular recovery when the body cannot eliminate that stress. In fact, the study's conclusions were that they suggested treatment with some kind of increased type of amino acids, such as branch chain amino acids, which are specifically valine, leucine, and isoleucine, to effectively prevent mitochondrial decline that is evoked by prolonged stress. And then we paired it with other feeders, repeaters and cellular sensors, things like activated B complex, things like the advanced coenzyme Q10, much like the coenzyme Q10 that is in anti-aging or that I refer to for mitochondrial health and well-being. Branch chain amino acids are found in the isotonic peak performance, right? Keeping our muscular health, our physical bodies, and our mental bodies at peak performance. And then magnesium being a big player in that central nervous system balance, the balance between serotonin and dopamine, keeping our minds on point as well as our gut on point, because stress affects each and every one of those things. So when we think of the decline that our adrenal glands or our stress hormones have from our adrenal glands, we want to think about what might be the most targeted regimen beyond mitochondrial biogenesis for the adrenally fatigued individual. And that's going to be a look at the revitalized bundle with nutraMetrix. So how do you bring up concepts like this to your patients? These are some of my choice ways of doing it. I remind my patients that their genes, their genetic blueprint, or the hand that they were dealt, plays a significant role in their health. And my understanding of how these genes interact, because these genes are their genetic blueprint, there's no such thing as one size fits all, will help me identify the right nutrients, the right meal plan, the right diet, or the right sleep hygiene program and fitness program for them. If I could offer them a unique program, it would be the one that was tailored to them and would probably make it easier for them to follow, because they're more likely to see the results for something that was made for them and their genetic blueprint. The analysis gives the patient an insight into where there may be problematic areas of health, and then helps them in between office visits identify or prioritize areas of health. Over a period of time, while Gene SNP DNA results are coming back, this is this ideal time, as Sarah was sharing with you, to talk to our patients about the importance of setting the right tissue or the right terrain or foundation. And that may start with a detoxification program. It may start by just getting them started on a multivitamin, much like the anti-aging multivitamin, that can cover multiple areas of health and start sending the right signals to their genes. But it is, in fact, their genetic analysis that is going to help answer questions for them, like why don't they lose weight? Why are they chronically fatigued? Is there something in their genes that gives them a healthy night's sleep? It helps the practitioner, but I want to be clear about this. More importantly, the patient stay adherent, because whatever program that is built for them, it's built around their genes, and it's far easier to stay adherent to something that is built around both your lifestyle and your genetic blueprint. It does help individuals choose the right dietary program for them, so that much like Sarah was mentioning, do you need to be on a more plant-based diet? Would you work to be on a ketogenic diet? And does that ketogenic diet need to lend more to plant-based or more animal-based fat products? When it comes to genes, there's a look at paleo genes and farmer genes. And these are the types of questions that patients are looking to find answers to. They want to know, do they also need to cut out grains from their diet like their friend that lost all of that weight? The answer is in their genetic blueprint. The bundles help. And the reason why they help is because they were built around genes that are known to cluster together, whether that is in these energy pathways that I've described today, whether it's in detoxification pathways, whether it's in methylation and neurologic brain aging pathways, because genes tend to cluster together and influence each other. We know that the right interplay of nutrients will help them talk or cross-communicate better. And that's how we keep our patients more adherent and more on track. Your 5 principles for keeping your patients on track through nutrigenomic analysis is reminding them that there's no such thing as a superstar gene. They may come into the practice looking to find out if they have MTHFR, a methylation gene. They may come in wanting to know if they have the vegan, paleo, or farmer gene, but it's not one gene that does the heavy lifting. It's the gene environment that does this. And so it's a collection of genes and how they can simply be told how to communicate better through diet, supplementation, sleep, physical fitness, and making sure that we have a way to help them manage their stress. It's important for you to know that genes will have one of 3 pathways. They'll either have the optimal form of the gene, an alternative form of the gene, which means that we need to find another pathway to push on that gene polymorphism, or they will have an arrested or low non-functioning gene. And for that reason, or with that information, we now know that we need to go underneath the gene enzyme and replete the body with what that gene or that pathway may have made. This is a great example that methylation and detoxification pathways point to. Your gene environment is influenced by more than supplementation, and that's why we should talk to our patients about physical fitness, stress balance, quality of sleep, and then a diet program made for them. One size does not fit all. Combination is key to setting the tone. If you want to know the very best way to get started to create your very best genetic potential, to make sure that your genetic blueprint screams exactly the way it's supposed to for longevity and health and well-being, the first step is to get started with a diet diary, affirmations, and understanding where our weaknesses lie. Probably the very best way to do that is with the TLS Lifestyle Journal. This lifestyle journal is a 90-day journal where you are able to write down sleep habits, dietary habits, cravings, emotions. The pendulum swings from right to left, from left to right, however it's moving with you, but you get to keep track of that. And with that kind of information, we're able to easily identify where some of your bigger gaps in diet, sleep, stress balance, and supplementation or nutrient balance come in. And with that and your genetic test, your genetic analysis, we're able to create a customized plan for you. And as Sarah had shared with you, if you want to set the right tone for your genetic pathways, for your genetic blueprint, your genetic environment, you'll start with the Isotonic Essentials Anti-Aging. It was built to support healthy aging. It is not made for an individual of advanced years, but to make sure that we put quality nutrients in the body, quality nutrient sensing, so that we have quality of life and length in our years. As we shared with you earlier, if you're new to nutraMetrix or unfamiliar with the genetic program and would like more information, we suggest that you work with the individual that invited you on the summit here today. If you are a health professional utilizing Gene SNP or just wanting more information about Gene SNP, you can reach us at genesnp.com for more information. But if you are an individual that is looking to have your Gene SNP DNA analysis done, we're going to go ahead and refer you back to the individual that invited you to the summit to learn more about your genetic potential and to get those genetic questions answered for you. It is now my pleasure to invite my friend, my colleague, Brandi Murphy, the director of nutraMetrix, to the webinar to share with you some hopefully easy ways to take 1, 2, 3 steps towards a better genetic potential.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay right now?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, awesome. And I'm just going to pop on to say hello to everybody for a second. You'll see my smiling face while I go ahead and load up my slides. As we make this transition, just a quick reminder that you might see for about 15 to 30 seconds or so. I'm seeing the slides now. Hopefully you can too. Dr. Mason, are you still there to confirm that you can see my slides?
I can confirm it, or I am here and I confirm I can see your slides.
Okay, awesome. With that, I am going to thank you for passing the mic and the controls over to me. And we're going to talk a little bit in this next segment about how to utilize the bundles, whether you've had the Gene SNP test taken or not, right? Because there's quite a few people on here. When we looked at the poll, about 25% of the people answered so far are invited here by somebody that's involved with nutraMetrix, either as a practitioner or a nutraMetrix consultant. If you're working with a nutraMetrix consultant, they may have a health professional that they can refer you to take the Gene SNP test. And I did see quite a few questions in the group about how do I get a copy of the test? Can I use the test? Who can help me with the test? And as Sarah indicated earlier, we cannot give out the information of our providers. They're all very busy. They all have very active practices. And so we can't give you their information, but you can talk to the nutraMetrix consultant or the health professional that invited you here to see if they could refer you to someone who uses the test. But some of you still might not be able to get access to it. For example, the Gene SNP test is not available in the state of New York. So if you live in New York, how do you take advantage of creating an optimum gene environment by using the products that we use with the test? And Dr. Mason really came up with this idea at the end of last year after evaluating and working with so many health professionals who are using the test in their practice. She started noticing these commonalities like she was talking about, and we created what we call the gene personalities. And our intention, our goal with the gene personalities was to be able to help people self-identify, whether it's a nutraMetrix consultant, whether it's somebody evaluating whether they want to work with nutraMetrix, whether it's a customer of a nutraMetrix consultant, whether it's a health professional or a patient of a health professional. When you see the information about the bundle personalities, there are going to be people that come to mind. Maybe one of the personalities represents you perfectly. Maybe one of the personalities represents your husband or your child or your best friend or your sister or your brother. But the idea here is, as we go through and talk about some of these commonalities in how the patient or the person presents in their life, sometimes what they'll notice is they have either conditions or symptoms or feelings that don't seem related. But when we look at the underlying story of their genetic blueprint, they're definitely related. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this segment. And I'm going to share with you that, let me get my slides going, there we go. Part of the bonus is you're going to be getting the information that I share with you today. You'll be able to get access to that so that if you see something and you want to be able to refer back to it, of course, you're going to get the recording that you can watch over the next week of the replay, but we're going to share with you via email afterwards some of these tools to be able to help you identify which SNP or which bundle you most resonate with and that your family most resonates with. So you're going to be given these actions as bonus number 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about our basic foundation regimens, our bundles to help create an optimum gene environment. And we have 2 of them. And let's talk about the first one. Our first bundle that we're going to talk about is called the Gene SNP Foundation Bundle. And I want to just go over who this is for, right? This is really for the person that after watching this or after talking to their health professional understands that they are not a prisoner to their genes, right? That they can create an environment that either turns on or turns up or turns down certain gene information so that they can have optimal health, that they can hack their health. So the people that are currently reading books on biohacking or following biohacking blogs, the people that are already investing in their health through supplementation, the people that are following fitness blogs, the people that want to make sure that they do everything that they can today to promote the health of their future, right? These are the people that are looking for more endurance. They're looking for more stamina. They want to feel optimum. They want to be the best version of themselves. They want vitality. They want to wake up in the morning and be able to tackle their day without feeling tired. These are the people that have a passion for life. They love their life and they want to be able to continue providing the foundation of health through nutrition to be able to optimize their genes. Now, let's talk about what products are included in this bundle. And I'm going to go through these very quickly, again, because you're going to ask the person that invited you on this webinar for more information, and you're going to use the download that we send to you to be able to go back and review this in more detail. So the Gene SNP Foundation is something that we offer to health professionals or encourage them to offer to patients that do take the test and they're waiting for their results to come back, because there is some time, it is a lab test that needs to be sent off to a lab. The lab needs to analyze the data and send it back. And we don't necessarily want the patient to be just not doing anything in between the time of taking the test and getting their results back. So they can start right away by starting with the Gene SNP Foundation Bundle. And even if you haven't taken the test yet, this is a great place to start as well. So what do we include in the Gene SNP Foundation Bundle? We include our daily essentials packets, which have in it a multivitamin, an antioxidant, a B complex, and a calcium. That box that you see on the screen there really has 4 products in one. It's delivered in an isotonic delivery system that is a great tasting beverage that you mix with a dry powder with a certain amount of water, and you drink it down on an empty stomach. So you're going to take the daily essentials daily each morning away from food, and then you're going to add into it some of the other products that you see there, like our Heart Health Omegas, omega-3 fish oils. We all know that most of us are not getting enough healthy fish oils in our diet. Even if you were to eat fish every day, you probably are not getting enough of the omega-3s. And when we try to balance that out with the omega-6s and the omega-9s that are in our diet, we need to make sure that we are providing as much of the optimum levels of omega-3s as possible. So we're going to take that daily with food, preferably during a meal, but it doesn't have to be during a meal. People will ask me all the time, when do you take yours? I do take mine with my lunch, and I work from home, so it's easy for me to do that. But maybe for you, it's at dinner time. You just want to get into the habit of taking it every day at the same time. These are essential fatty acids, which means if you can't make it, you need to take it, and we're going to take them in the form of a high quality omega-3 supplement. We're also going to add in the activated B complex. B vitamins are water soluble. They have to be replaced every day. They're essential for hormone and protein synthesis, and that's really important for optimizing gene activity. We're going to take this second dose of the B complex, because there is one in your morning daily essentials packet. You're going to take this second dose about 4 to 6 hours away from the morning dose. What this does also is help to give you just a little bit of pickup in the afternoon. For those of you that have ever experienced the mid-afternoon slumps, this will help with that. And then we're going to add in vitamin D with K2 in the isotonic form. Vitamin D is a pro-hormone that really does play a role in a lot of gene messaging. So we want to make sure that we have that there as well. We're going to take that in the morning, or again, with the second capful of B complex that we're going to take in the afternoon. And then we're going to add in our isotonics magnesium. This is really going to help us deal with the stress. Dr. Mason put up that crazy image of the hands kind of coming over the face and pulling the face in all these different directions. And how many of you have ever felt like that? how many of you have ever felt like, you're being pulled in so many directions? We all feel that a lot of the time because we have family commitments and we have work commitments and we have hobbies that we want to be able to pursue and oftentimes don't have time to pursue. And then we have all the stress of the news and everything else that's going on in the world. And we want to be able to help promote a healthy stress response by providing magnesium. Now, this bundle, the foundation bundle, is available in 2 sizes. The magnesium does have 45 servings in there. So if you buy the bundle as it's pictured on this slide, the magnesium is going to have about 45 servings. If you want to make sure that you only get a 30-day supply and you don't have extra product of one building up over the course of a month. Now, I do take more magnesium than one every day, so it's helpful for me to have that extra magnesium. You can also buy it in a 30-day bundle without the magnesium and then buy the magnesium separately. So that is our Gene SNP Foundation bundle. And as I mentioned, you'll get a copy of this so you can see exactly what's included in there and when to take it if you're taking notes. But let's talk about our next bundle, which is our Foundation Pro bundle. And what's the difference between the Gene SNP Foundation bundle and the Gene SNP Foundation Pro bundle? This one really takes that biohacking concept to the next level. This is the person that really wants to make sure maybe they have a lot of physical activity in their life and they need to support it with some additional nutrients. This person's really focused on precision nutrition. They want to be functioning at the absolute peak of their potential. Again, it's probably another biohacker. This might be somebody that's the type of person that seeks out concierge medicine. They definitely want to be able to have strong endurance and high energy to get them throughout the day. So when we take a look, you're going to see some similarities, but they're a little bit different. Just like we had the daily essentials packets in the foundation bundle, here we have the anti-aging packets. And the anti-aging packets are again going to be kind of your replacement for a standard multivitamin, but they have B vitamins in there. They have zinc, magnesium, copper, manganese, additional things like carnitine, coenzyme Q10, iodine, and iron that really can help deplete what we lose as we age. There's also vitamin D3 and K2 in there. You'll see the omega-3 fish oils again for all the same reasons that they were in the foundation bundle. You'll see the B complex, and the antioxidant that we add in this one is the nutraMetrix Curcumin Extreme. This also provides immune support, neurologic support, it supports detoxification, and just provides an overall healthy gene environment to help you neutralize the free radicals that we come into contact with and that we produce through metabolic processes throughout our day. This is taken in the afternoon or evening, especially if you're also taking OPC3. I know a lot of you that are on this call are familiar with Isotonic's OPC3. It's our #1 selling product in nutraMetrix. And so you can take curcumin with the OPC3. It is a great antioxidant as well, that you might want to take those polyphenols twice per day. Additionally, we're going to have the magnesium in there, and just like the regular foundation, because the magnesium has 45 days to it, you can buy it either in the 45-day magnesium dose or you can buy it in a 30-day package. So between those two, I want you to jot down which of those two seems to make the most sense for you right now. Are you really focused on anti-aging and longevity and really having high endurance, or you just really want to provide the base foundation for your genetic environment? Because that's a great place for you to start. Now we're going to get into the 8 gene personalities that we're going to talk about throughout the rest of this segment. And we're going to start off by talking about the personalities related to methylation and neurologic tone. And what do we talk about when we talk about the methylator bundle? Well, we all know someone, and maybe it's you, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend of yours, that is kind of that sky is falling personality. Somebody that might be a worrier. They might overreact a lot. They might be considered emotional. They might have mood swings. They might get anxious very easily. They might worry about things or have difficulty focusing. They might have that squirrel syndrome, shiny object syndrome. They might be considered irritable. Dr. Mason talked about in her segment that fatigue is something that really plagues a lot of people, that a lot of the practitioners have patients coming to them that are complaining about being tired and fatigued. And the people that have methylation issues also are going to feel very fatigued. You're going to hear that in a lot of the bundles. But these people, really, it's more about them being impulsive, irritable, moody, tired all the time, distracted, having difficulty paying attention. So if you thought of anybody that came to mind, write their name down, because you might want to talk to them about the methylation bundle. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your sister, but just jot down their name and put down the methylation bundle, the methylator bundle next to their name. Let's talk about what's going to go into that bundle. We have the Isotonics Essentials Turn Up, which really, when Sarah introduced this event, when she kicked it off, she talked about the ability to turn on or turn off or turn up or turn down certain metabolic switches. And the Isotonics Turn Up can really help to do that. There's amino acids, B vitamins, there's antioxidants in there that help to reduce oxidative stress. You can take it late in the morning or in the afternoon, depending on when you need that little bit of pick-me-up. We have the nutraMetrix magnesium in there. You're going to hear magnesium in quite a few of the bundles because magnesium really is a key driver of enzymes for neurotransmitter activity. And it's going to be a really critical nutrient for providing an optimum gene environment. That can be taken morning and night before bed. We also have in there the activated B complex. We have an anti-stress formula that contains adaptogens that are beneficial in both turning up and turning down methylation signals and creating balance in individuals that need an even response, right? Not the people that react very quickly, but the people that can be more calm, cool, and collective no matter what is going on around them. So the Bliss formula just really helps to take that extra edge off. And then we have probiotics in there because the gut really is the epicenter of everything. And we want to make sure that we have healthy microbial function. We want to make sure that we have healthy methylation pathways, and we're going to use probiotics to support that. Now, if you are a health professional and you're very interested in what are the most relevant SNPs associated with each bundle, when you get the information from us, you'll see the SNPs associated with the bundle there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that now, but I do want you to be aware, if you're a health professional, that we have the tools and resources available for you to learn that. Now, let's take a look at one of the other genetic personalities that we have. And this one has to do with somebody who needs a lot of immune support, somebody that really is having some challenges with nutrient sensing and their sensory processes. This person we call the gut guard bundle, or the gut guard bundle is perfect for them. So this would be the person that you know, again, maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody that you know, who has a lot of bowel issues. Maybe they complain about bloating. Maybe they complain about poor sleep. Maybe they feel a sense of indigestion all the time. They're sensitive. Maybe they have food sensitivities or environmental sensitivities. This could be the person that, you know, gets a headache when they're around somebody in the office that has a lot of perfume on, or if they walk into a hotel that's blasting air freshener out, they start to react to that. They have dull hair, dry skin. Oftentimes they have thyroid complaints. They usually have thin arms and legs, but tend to carry their weight in their middle. Maybe they experience a lot of gassy issues and endocrine disruption. You know, there's so many different things. They don't wake up rested. Although they sleep, they wake up tired. And as a result of this, they often complain of immune issues. They might get sick a lot. And so these people, we're going to really look to support digestion to help with the overactive immune system or underactive immune system that they might have. We're going to look to support healthy immune function by supporting the gut. So taking a look at what products are involved with the Gut Guard bundle, you're going to see a lot of digestive health type products here, like the NutriClean Advanced Fiber Powder. Fibers are unique in their ability to create a healthy gut barrier and feed the beneficial bacteria, really focusing on having healthy gut microflora. We're going to provide vitamin D and K2. We're going to provide Oxygen Extreme, which is a blend of antioxidants that helps to neutralize free radicals in all of the different organs of detoxification, including the lymphatic system. So you can see when you get this download, we can come back to it and see exactly when to take which product. But the idea here is for you to think about what areas do we need to support to help with these this clustering of symptoms that people might have, even if they don't have a diagnosis. They might not have ever been to a doctor and diagnosed with anything. They just know that they feel bloated and gassy, and they can't figure out why they can't lose weight. And they've tried maybe a gluten-free diet and haven't necessarily gotten the response that they want. We need to support digestion with them. We're going to add in the curcumin extreme. We talked about that already being a great antioxidant. We're going to add in astaxanthin, which is another antioxidant. It's a fat-soluble antioxidant that can really help with gastric activity. And again, those probiotics that I talked about. So when we talk about the methylator and we talk about the GutGuard bundle, these people, they both might have tired, they might wake up tired, they might wake up not feeling rested, but we're going to support their genes in a different way. We're going to support them here in the GutGuard bundle by all focusing on the digestion process. And there are the SNPs associated with that if you're a health professional and you're paying attention to which SNPs are associated with each bundle. I'll share with you, and I have a slide of this at the end of this segment, but it's just come into my mind to share it with you now, is we do have a tally sheet for the health professionals that are using the test where they can actually click off based on the patient's test results, which SNPs are where, and then it will calculate which bundle based on their results is most appropriate for them. But if you don't have access to the test, just be thinking about the descriptors on those word art pictures that I show you and think about which one resonates with you the most. There is no right or wrong answer. If you pick a bundle that you feel like it resonates well with you and then you try it for 3 months and you're not quite getting the results that you want, pick the next closest one that you resonated with. Okay, so now let's get into, we're going to talk about the Restore bundle. And the Restore bundle is all about detoxification. It's designed to support the detoxification pathways, I'm all tongue twisted, designed to support the detoxification pathways in the elimination of environmental toxins. Again, this is somebody that might be hypersensitive to perfumes. They might be tired. They might have bad breath. You know, sometimes you know that one person that every time you talk to them, you want to give them a breath mint, but you're not quite sure how to bring it up to them. They may also have skin issues. They might be suffering from unexplained rashes that just don't go away, or they might have psoriasis type concerns, or they might have a low metabolism, sensitive skin. They might react to detergents. They definitely have a hard time losing weight, in particular around their middle as well. They often also complain of abdominal discomfort. Detoxification is a big issue for them. They will often have head discomfort, and head discomfort's a fancy way of saying that they complain of headaches frequently, or maybe they have migraines. Even if they've not been diagnosed with a chronic condition, they just might feel hungover a lot. Sometimes they wake up in the morning with that hungover feeling, and they, again, have dry skin. They might have what's called the sugar bug, where you see the little blue line above their nose, where the vein is very prominent in their nose. This person might have dark under eye circles and puffy skin. They're just toxic, right? And so we're going to support the detoxification pathways with specific products. Some of them are also in our digestive health packages, but it's designed to support digestion and detoxification. So in this case, we're going to use the Ultimate Aloe Juice. Ultimate Aloe is also an antioxidant. It helps to clear up and repair after toxins have created damage. We're going to go into our complete detoxification kit, which has in it the curcumin is in there, the oxygen extreme is in there. You can take that daily in the morning. The curcumin extreme can be taken in the evening or before bed. It also has the multi-mineral in there because minerals are the powerhouses behind cellular detox, cell-to-cell communication. They do help balance the body pH, which is necessary. Breath, who seems to be toxic, who complains about feeling foggy or groggy or hungover in the morning, the Restore bundle might be a perfect place for them to start. Now let's talk about the bundles that are related to cellular health and longevity. We talk about the Cellular Defense bundle. Cellular Defense is really the person that is experiencing a lot of free radical damage, and they're maybe not getting enough variety in their diet. We definitely might not be getting enough antioxidants in their diet. These might be people that aren't eating a lot of colorful foods, and as a result of having all of this free radical damage and not supporting the body and getting rid of the free radical damage or mediating the free radical damage with a lot of antioxidants, they end up feeling inflamed all the time. Their skin looks dry and wrinkly. They also have puffy skin. They might feel that oxidative stress. They might have the bags under their eyes, immune system concerns. This also might be somebody that gets sick a lot and can't figure out why. This is the type of person that if they eat certain foods 2 or 3 days later, they can't get their rings off or on, and they're not sure why. They also have hangover-like reactions. They have a lot of joint discomfort, but their joint discomfort might be a little bit different, right? The joint discomfort, sometimes it needs to be massaged. Sometimes it needs to be like, don't touch me, right? I don't want that pressure. That pressure is too much. So we want to take a look at exactly how inflamed are they, and how are they experiencing that inflammation? Does it come out more as things like allergies? Does it come out more like joint pain? But we're going to look to support the body nutritionally by providing a lot of antioxidants here in the Cellular Defense Bundle. I mentioned OPC3 being our #1 selling product. It enhances oxygen transport to tissues and to the brain for optimal defense from oxidative stress. It's going to be taken in the morning with the other isotonics in the bundle. We also have in here the bromelain plus. Now, bromelain comes from the pineapple. It's a pineapple enzyme, and it contains proteases that are beneficial in issues of cellular health due to poor aging, poor signaling, and damage. This can be taken in the afternoon or in the evening with or without food. We're going to add the fiber powder in for these people. Again, the fiber powder is going to help to decrease markers in the body associated with inflammation and poor concentration. Can be taken in the morning or the afternoon. We're going to add in those omega-3 fish oils and the astaxanthin antioxidant that we have. So you'll see there's a lot of different antioxidants combining together, and each one serves a different purpose in helping to provide cellular defense for these individuals. And then we're going to move on to the bundles that we have there. Again, this is more for your notes when you do look at the tests, if you are testing with Gene SNP and you're a health professional. If not, we're going to be looking for the word art that makes the most sense for you. So if you know of anybody that just sounds like the person I just described, write their name down, because the Restore bundle or the Cellular Defense bundle is probably the best choice for them. And moving on, we have the Resistance bundle. Dr. Mason talked about the Revitalize bundle. We'll talk about that very briefly in a few minutes, but let's talk about the Resistance bundle now. What do we mean by, what do you think of when you think of the Resistance bundle? These are people that are resistant to losing weight. Often they have excess weight in the middle. They usually have some glycemic control issues. Think of the person that gains weight when they smell bread. Think of the person that craves sweets all day long. They might crave salt. People crave salty snacks. Some people crave sweet snacks. But if they're having issues losing weight, controlling how much they eat, have a lot of food cravings, maybe they have what we call saddlebags or muffin top and they just can't get it to go away. They usually have some sort of sedentary lifestyle. And these are the people that respond well to exercise, but getting them to want to be motivated to exercise is difficult for them. Once they do it, they feel good. But if they don't do it, they don't want to do it. Like the more they don't exercise, the less they want to exercise. If they start doing it, they're great. These people often complain of mindless snacking. They'll grab a bag of chips. The next thing, the chips are gone. They're standing in the kitchen and they don't even know where the chips went. They might be suffering from andropause. They might be emotional eaters. They might have spare tires. We talked a little bit earlier about poor sleep. These people also have poor sleep habits. They do not feel rested when they wake up. And because they're so exhausted, a lot of times their libido has gone down and they might have some challenges in their relationship because of their libido. They're just too tired all the time, and stress makes that even worse. They sometimes feel distant. These are people that tend to, when they do go out, they feel good, but oftentimes they'll let their tiredness and their stress levels say, I just don't feel like going out and being with people. So they tend to stay at home because of it. So what products do we include in the Resistance bundle? We have our TLS Core Fat and Carb Inhibitor, which helps, because of age or lifestyle, deal with the white adipose tissue that becomes less sensitive to leptin. Poor sleep makes this a great concern. So if you have somebody that you're thinking about, or if it's you, that isn't sleeping well and you're not able to lose weight, The idea here is the better you get your sleep, the more likely you'll be able to lose weight. And we want to be able to support your body with nutrients that are going to help you do that. We also have green coffee with Carcinia gambosia in here. We're going to make sure that we keep your body in fat burning mode with these supplements. You need to take a deep breath I'm talking fast. I hope you guys are staying with me and that I'm not talking too fast for you. When we go through this, we have vitamin D with K2, a powerful promoter of healthy insulin response and hormone balance. We have resveratrol. We have isochrome together. They are a great 1-2 punch for helping with glycemic response, helping to support mitochondrial balance and mitochondrial function, and helping to overcome hormone disruption that happens as we age, just normal hormonal imbalances that happen as part of the aging process. So if you're one of those people that have been struggling with your weight, not able to sleep well, not connecting that your lack of sleep might be impacting your weight loss, the resistance bundle might be a great fit for you. If you know somebody that always talks about their salty, sweet cravings or their mindless snacking or not being able to control their cravings and being an emotional overeater, the resistance bundle might be for you. So write down those names of anybody that you think might be a good fit for the resistance bundle, even if that is you. And at the end, I'm going to give you some ideas of how do you get started, because I know I'm throwing a lot at you. I'm covering a lot of products in a short period of time. The objective is not to overwhelm you, so don't take a deep breath. I mean, do take a deep breath if you're feeling a little overwhelmed. We don't expect you to be experts at this all in one day, but just think about when you get these materials to review at the end of this webinar, if you come back and watch it again, which one most resonates with you. Try that one for 90 days. See how you respond, see how you feel. And if you aren't getting the response that you want, then try the next one. Okay, let's talk about the Cardio Shield bundle next. The Cardio Shield, really, I mean, this, you see the little heart there with the heartbeat. We're looking to support the body's cardiovascular system. We're looking to support healthy triglyceride levels. We're looking to address lipid concerns. Just like in almost all the other bundles, people that need the Cardio Shield bundle feel tired a lot. They experience fatigue. They also might experience inflammation and bloating. They might retain fluid. They might have blood pressure concerns. They might have blood glucose or blood sugar concerns. They definitely come to the realization that they're experiencing stress. They feel overwhelmed a lot. They have low energy. They often will have the spare tire. They'll feel tired easily. They have poor cardiovascular health. Their doctor might have warned them that they need to change their diet. They might need to improve their cardiovascular profile or their lipid profile. They often can start things but don't have a lot of stamina to keep them going. Endurance might be a concern. These people really kind of tire out by mid-afternoon, and by 8 o'clock, if they're not in bed, they feel like their world is just coming crashing down. They need to be able to get sleep. They tend to carry their weight in the middle again, and they have a hard time losing that. They definitely deal with some cortisol response issues. So their adrenal system might be a little taxed by the amount of stress that they have. They might have approached their health professional about having a cortisol test done. If any of this sounds familiar to you, either for you or for a loved one, you might want to explore the Cardio Shield bundle, which includes the antioxidant OPC3, as well as coenzyme Q10 to stimulate mitochondrial function, and vitamin D with K2, as well as our TLS Trim Tea. TLS Trim Tea also comes in a coffee flavor. If you're not a tea person and you prefer coffee flavor, we have Trim Cafe as well. But we did put the Trim Tea in the bundle here. So if you're going to order it all as one bundle, you would get the tea flavor. It counteracts tissue response to increased inflammatory environment. And it really helps to make sure that you are just maintaining healthy blood glucose levels throughout the day and support healthy levels of adiponectin. We were going to also include the omega-3 fish oils. We've talked about those in several of the bundles. Again, if you can't make it, you have to take it. And most of us simply don't get enough healthy fish oils through diet alone. There are the bundle SNPs associated with the Cardio Shield bundle, and when you get this information afterwards, you'll have access to refer that if that's something that you're paying attention to. Let's go on and talk about adrenal support, and that's where the Revitalize bundle that Dr. Mason came in love how she explained it. And I want to just share with you, I'm going through this very quickly with you because we have a lot of bundles, and this is designed to be an overview to help you understand how the gene personalities can impact you and how you can use the personalities to identify which products are the best fit for you, even if you have not taken the test. Now, if you are a health professional and you have a nutraMetrix account, when you attend one of our health professional product and implementation trainings, you're going to get more in-depth training like what Dr. Mason covered in depth about the Revitalize bundle in the last segment. But let's just go through and talk a little bit about what products are included in there. She mentioned them. I'm just going to mention them again very quickly. The B complex is in there, the coenzyme Q10, our peak performance blend, and the magnesium. So if you know somebody who just feels like their batteries are running down all the time, and no matter what they do, they can't pick up their energy, the Revitalize bundle is the one for them, and you might want to jot that down. And then we're going to go into the mental well-being and the mental aging bundles. We're going to talk about the balance bundle. Who do you know that is easily distracted? Again, that squirrel syndrome. You see squirrel on there, big and easy. And I got a couple text messages from the last time I said that. Hello, my name is Squirrel, right? There's so many of us that can relate to that, that just have focus is an issue. Sometimes these people that need a little bit of balance support also have poor sleep. They worry a lot. They can be restless. They can be on edge. They might feel blah or indifferent. It might be hard to get them moving. On the other hand, they could be easily upset and easily distracted. They could feel like they're going through the motions in life. They just don't get worked up very easily in terms of excited in a positive way, but they tend to get triggered angrily pretty often. They often might explain that they're just bored with life. They just don't know where they're going. They've lost their zest. They've lost their passion. They don't really know what they want out of life anymore. They might be dissatisfied or lethargic. And so we need to support a healthy emotional well-being with them. We need to help them focus on having a healthy mental outlook. And we're going to look to support them nutritionally by providing the multi-mineral in the multi-mineral formula, but we're also going to add in the omega-3 fish oils, and we're going to add in our TLS ACTs. Now, ACTs stands for adrenal, cortisol, thyroid, and stress support formula. Just like the Bliss formula, the ACTs does have adaptogens in there that help us deal with stress, but there's also other nutrients in there that help us deal with that poor sleep and the mental performance to give us mental stamina and a sense of healthy well-being. We're going to also add in there the turn down because sleep is such an issue for these individuals. We're going to look to support them with a combination of L-tryptophan, B vitamins, and certain minerals that support optimal neurotransmitter activity. We're going to also add in the B complex, and that can be taken again with food or without, but we just want to make sure they take it at a time when they're actually going to take it. So the balance bundle has these SNPs associated with it. If you're following along in that department, the tally sheet will help you there. And I know I went through that super fast, right? So let's think about what do we do if we want to go through this again? Well, you're going to have access to this replay for the next 7 days. Some of you are watching this for the first time on the replay. You can come back and watch it over and over again. You can pause, you can take notes, you can stop it on the replay. You can go back and revisit it. But we also have these different tools available to you. And if you are a guest, you probably don't have access to these, but the person that invited you to the webinar can help you get them. One of the tools that we have is a checklist of what products are included in each of the bundles. Because let's say, for example, that you resonated really well with the methylator and the gut guard, and they both sounded like you and you couldn't really figure out which one was you. Well, if you don't have the test done, what I would do is go back through, look at them again, see which one is closest to you, and then look at what other product. Maybe you can just add 1 or 2 other products to support the digestive system and get the methylator bundle, and now you are kind of getting the best of both worlds. So you can customize how you approach having the bundles. We mentioned the tally sheet earlier. This is what it looks like for the health professionals that have had patients get the test done. You can actually go through the lab report that comes to the patients and just check off which of the actual SNPs, only the red ones. We're really only looking at the red SNPs on the lab report. We're going to check off which of the following SNPs were red on that patient's lab report, and we're going to tally them up, and we're going to see we have the highest percentage underneath that bundle name. And then that's going to be the bundle that we start with. And again, it's all about, just like in medicine, when somebody starts a medication, the doctor's going to say, we're going to try this medication for you. We're going to try it out for 3 to 6 months. We might take some blood work again in 3 to 6 months and see how you've responded. If you've responded the way we wanted you to, great. If you didn't respond the way we wanted you to, we might make some adjustments. It's no different here. So you might try a bundle. I'd say give it 90 days. See how you feel after the 90 days. And if you need to make adjustments, you can do so. Okay. We also just added, this is brand new. It went up on downloads this week for those of you that are nutraMetrix consultants or health professionals. Dr. Mason went through and created a backside to the bundle tally sheet that also indicates which of the gene SNPs are low fat genes, which ones are high fat genes, which ones are paleo genes, which ones are low carb genes, which ones are exercise genes, which ones are advanced glycation genes. You can go through and now see which genes are indicated in sleep, so that you can see maybe what type of lifestyle interventions you need to have. And I know Sarah and Dr. Mason both mentioned the TLS guide as being a good place to start for learning about modifying your lifestyle. It's not just about taking products, but also looking at how are we dealing with stress? How are we dealing with sleep? How are we moving our bodies? And this side of the tally sheet can help give some guidance based on the genetic information as to which type of meal plan you might want to do. And there's multiple meal plans to choose from within the TLS guide and journal system. And then we also have some other tools available. So if you are a health professional and you want to be able to introduce the bundles to your patients, or if you are an NC and you just want to have a quick cheat sheet of what products are in each bundle, instead of having the whole PowerPoint that I just went through, this is a postcard that is designed to be printed front and back that lists the products in each one of the bundles with the little bundle icon associated with it. So you can have that as kind of your little cheat sheet. And then we have patient handouts, and the patient handouts they show a picture of the word art, explaining the word, the gene personalities, but also a little overview, what we call romance copy of what that bundle is designed for, with a picture of what products are included in it. For the health professionals, we also have, for those people that did use the tool, we have a one-page report of findings that can go through and talk about what is the area that's most important for that patient to focus on, whether it be cardiovascular health, weight management, mental, emotional health, nutrient metabolism. The point is we have a ton of different tools there for you. Now, one other thing that I want to share with you before I close out this session is, if you are a nutraMetrix consultant, you have access to the consumer line of our bundles, but you have to order them in individual codes. So on downloads, what we did is we put together for each of the bundles a little code sheet, cheat sheet, so to speak, that lists what the nutraMetrix codes are in one column for the individual components of the products, and then what the consumer line codes are on the other side. So you can recreate, if you're not a health professional, you can recreate the bundles for your customers or for yourself if you are an unfranchised owner that wants to do that, but does not have access to the nutraMetrix brand of products. We do have all of the products that are available in the bundles also available in a consumer line for our nutraMetrix consultants and our unfranchised owners that do not have health professional qualifications. And Sarah talked to you a little bit earlier about our upcoming trainings, because some of you might be thinking, and I saw a ton of comments on the chat box when Dr. Mason and Sarah were talking, of people saying about the type of training that we offer and how valuable the training is. So I just wanted to be able to share with you what types of trainings we have. In your local area, we do have nutraMetrix 101s and 201s that happen all around the country, where you can get an overview of what we offer to health professionals through nutraMetrix, which does touch briefly upon the Gene SNP program and the bundles. And so if this opened up your eyes and you want to learn more about nutraMetrix, I would talk to whoever invited you to participate on this call today to find out if there is a nutraMetrix 101 or 201 session coming to your local area. And then we have these 2-day certification courses and health professional product and implementation courses that we offer through the corporate training program. We have 2 of them remaining in 2019. The first one is in Dallas, Texas. It's June 29th and 30th. And we also in Long Island, which is Melville, New York, September 20th and 21st. I should say 20th and 21st there. The health professional product and implementation training is much more clinical in nature, and that is also going to be held in Dallas the same weekend as the nutraMetrix consultant training. And I just wanted to give you another reminder. I know Sarah talked about them already, and we have quite great faculty, an impressive clinical faculty there with us this weekend, or that weekend. We'll have Dr. Flores, we'll have Dr. Robert Zimbowski, of course, we'll have Dr. Mason, Sarah, and myself there as well. So there's some information on the slides if you'd like to learn more about either the nutraMetrix course for nutraMetrix consultants or for health professionals, the product and implementation course that we have for health professionals. You can visit marketamericaevents.com/nutraMetrix. And there's information about the course, information about the venue, the hotel, how to get your tickets. Everything is included right there on the website. And with that, we talked about the first bonus that we're going to be offering you is the information that I covered with you today, the information on the bundles and how to identify the bundles by matching the personalities to the little word art pictures, looking at the gene profiles. And then also, bonus number 2 is we promised we would give you just 2 simple things you could do when you get home, or when you, like some of you are watching this from work today, some of you are listening to it as you're driving in your car, some of you are already at home. But what are the 2 simple steps that you could do today? You want to take action on what you learned about today. What are 2 simple things you could do right now to make a huge impact on your genetic potential? And that would be to order the TLS Guide and Journal, which goes through and talks to you about how to modify your lifestyle to support all of your health goals. And then to order, at a minimum, the anti-aging box. You'll notice that we talked a lot about minerals. We talked a lot about antioxidants. We talked a lot about the isotonic delivery and how that's a great solution. It tastes great, easy to take. The anti-aging packets, if you're only going to pick one product while you're trying to figure out which bundle you fit, the anti-aging bundle, the anti-aging packets is what I'm trying to say, would be the perfect place to start. So I'm going to encourage you to get back with the person who introduced you to this webinar today. Ask them how you can get your copy of the TLS Guide and Journal, and ask them how you can get your box of the anti-aging essentials while you work with them to help identify which of the genetic bundles is going to be the best fit for you. And with that, I want to thank you for your time. I'm just going to pop over to the chat box for a second. I want to just see Dr. Mason or Sarah, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off for the day? Is there anything else you wanted to add? If you guys are ready.
No, I just would like to thank everyone again for joining us. This has been really great. And if you stayed to the end, either on live or with the replay, we really appreciate this and love to hear your feedback and see photos of you with your TLS Guide and Journal and anti-aging packets.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm not sure if we're going to get Dr. Mason back, and so I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and I'm just looking at the chat.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Okay. No, you're good. You're good.
I thought, Sarah, thanking everyone for being on today's webinar and spending the last few hours with us was our wrap up. So I apologize for staying silent. I would like to reiterate, thank you for your time today, and thank you for my friends and colleagues for helping us put together an incredible program for you. If you have more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. It is our pleasure to help you support yourself, both nutritionally, functionally. As I always love to say, nutraMetrix and our Gene SNP Dream Team, our goal is to nourish the world, and I think we're doing a very good job.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye.